I learned my faith from my mom. I grew up in a Catholic family. My dad turned Christian when he arrived to the United States. But all my life, my mom taught us how to pray the rosary, how to go to Mass. We celebrated all the traditions, and that's where I learned about my faith from my mom. It was really painful. The school I went to didn't have bilingual classes, so I was in an English class when I didn't know any English. People made fun of me for my color. I loved to wear braids. They made fun of my braids. They made fun of how my hair was and that I was brown. So they made fun that I was the darkest child in the classroom. And I remember especially an occasion where we made a Christmas exchange, and they made fun of the gift I gave because it was too poor for them. So I was put in the back of the classroom from everyone else. I was kept apart, and they told me to read books on myself so that I can read the books by myself and learn English that way. I remember as a child, I loved going to Mass. I loved going to the groups that I was in when I was back in Michoacán. And I wanted so bad to do my first communion. I remember that back then it was the little book of the 100 questions that you had to learn. And I was eager to do my first communion. But when I arrived here, I wasn't able to do it. And I wasn't able to find that loving God that I learned about. I wasn't able to find that love of a community, of a church in the parish I went to. And I saw a lot of pain in my life, in the life of my family, how we were scared to go to certain places to speak our language. And there was so many times that I felt that much pain that I asked God to take me with him, that I didn't want to live in a life where I was just suffering. And we used to live in the second floor. So every morning, like every other morning, I will fall from the stairs. So wanting to get hurt so I wouldn't have to go to school because it was a really painful experience. So we wanted nothing to do with God. And we decided, my older sister and I, that we're gonna make my mom not go to Mass anymore, because my dad isn't Catholic, so he was perfectly fine with us not going anywhere. So we made a plan in which we didn't want to go to Mass anymore, and my mom was forced to not go to Mass. For 10 years, we were apart from the church. We didn't pray the rosary anymore as we used to when we were younger. And I remember my mom praying every night the rosary on her knees, begging God to help us see him and realize that he is where we need to be, close to him, and so that we can go back to Mass. So that church we went to, it was like around 10-15 minutes walking distance from my house. And nobody really minded that we were there. It was like if we're not there from the beginning. We used to sit all the way in the back. We didn't say hi to anyone. As soon as Mass ended, we would leave. So when we stopped going, nobody talked to us, nobody looked for us because we didn't make a community there. So it was as if we were never there in the first place. I was about 9, 10 years old. We were going to Target because my little sister was a baby and we wanted to buy some things for her. So we went to a Target that was located, it's not there anymore, National City and the beginning of Chula Vista. And we thought, since it was National City, Chula Vista, we thought it was going to be a place where we would be welcomed. But as soon as we put foot in that store, we noticed that there was no family of colors but us. So we're the only darker color family. And as soon as we got there, the security guard, he was white, he was Caucasian, and he started following us as soon as we started going inside the store. Wherever we went, he would follow. We thought at first that he made a mistake, but we noticed that we were going to places and he will be there. My dad was wearing his work clothes, and we thought that maybe that was the reason why. But when he went his way, he kept following us. So we felt so uncomfortable that we decided to leave. And at that moment, I realized that people that are not from the same color as you will treat you differently. I grew really, really scared of people that were not. I was scared of people from my color, and then I became scared of people that were not from my color, because I thought that everybody was going to hurt me, or that they were going to follow me thinking that I was robbing the store, or that I was going to do harm to others for being brown skin. So after 10 years of not going to Mass, I got a sickness that when we went to the doctor didn't understand what was going on. I was at that time 18 years old, and I had just finished my first semester at community college. And I got this sickness and I had to miss my second semester because I was in bed for 2 weeks. And that was when it was the beginning of the semester. I was under a lot of medication. I couldn't move, I couldn't eat, I couldn't do anything. I was just laying in bed. I had horrible headaches. And the medications only made me sleep. And I remember when I was sleeping, I saw a white light around the door that looked like Our Lady of Guadalupe. And when I saw that light, I knew that God was talking to me and He was telling me that I was going to be okay. The next morning, I wake up and I'm completely fine. I'm able to walk, I'm able to drink and eat. So that made me realize that I needed to look for Him and that He was calling me. So as soon as I got better, I had missed my semester, so I knew that I needed to find something else to do. And my dad told me that I needed to go with my mom wherever we went. At that time, there was a class taking place at Christ the King, and my mom was invited to that class, so we went to that class, and that's where I saw this parish. And we wanted to start back going to Mass because there were a lot of painful situations going on in my family. And that was the only place that we found peace. So we started going to Mass there, and that's when we started to know people, and that's when I told my mom that I wanted to do finally my sacraments. As soon as I finished my first communion, I was invited to be a catechist. I was really scared because I thought I didn't know anything about the faith, and what was I going to teach to other children? But I let God guide me, and I went and did my catechism, my classes to be a catechist. And I became a catechist in July of 2013. And from there, I became a lector. I started doing the announcements at the beginning of Mass, and later on, a Eucharistic minister. It was really hard because there were a lot of people that didn't believe in the younger generations, people that thought that I was going to drop out as soon as a couple weeks that I started serving because that's what they have seen throughout the years. And I got a lot of support from a lot of people. When I didn't know how to say things in English in the catechism with the kids, they will teach me and they will practice with me as soon as I got it right. And they helped me lose that fear of talking in public and talking in English. But I also saw a lot of people that didn't want me serving because I was young, and that they didn't like that I served there because I was younger and I was supposedly taking their place. When I became the coordinator of the announcements in the ministry for the Mass that I attend to, I saw that there wasn't many young people serving, and that the young people that were there didn't want anything to do of like speaking in front of everyone. And I noticed that when my little sister wanted to serve, she was put down and she was told that she wasn't like me and how she was going to serve if she wasn't like me, and that she didn't have the same. They wanted her to be exactly like me, and she isn't. And when she saw that, she told me that how could she serve if they expected the same of her from that they did from me, but she didn't have those same gifts. She had different ones, but she was put down for not having them, and she decided to not serve anymore. I've seen a lot of division. I've seen how there's this Mass and they don't feel like they're the same as the other Mass, or things like that. They work together when they need to within the Spanish community, but I've seen how even within the groups, it's smaller groups within the groups. So I see that division within the Hispanic community. So from my experience, I've seen that a lot of young people hold their emotions back so they don't worry their parents, because parents are going through unemployment. My dad was without a job for about 3 or 4 months. We struggled to getting food, to getting resources to pay our bills. And I also saw it with my parents that they lost family members. We lost 3 family members, 2 due to COVID. And I saw the struggle with my little sister. I had to make myself strong so they wouldn't see me break down. In a lot of moments, I would cry to myself, or I would do it to myself because I didn't want to worry them. And my little sister, I saw that she felt that abandonment from the parish. She felt that people didn't care about her anymore, or her family, because the leaders didn't worry about the younger generations, what was going through them. And she would always tell me that she felt that nobody cared about us anymore. When I started to go at Christ the King, I noticed that I lost a lot of fears. I lost the fear of public speaking, of speaking in English, and the fear of interacting with people from different backgrounds. And especially during the pandemic, I felt so welcome in the English community, and I'm really thankful for them because they have been there for me and asking me how I am, if I need anything, asking where I am, and they've been really supportive. So, and also one of the things that Christ the King has in the English community is that whenever, and also the Spanish community, whenever someone new comes, they welcome them and they hug them, and it's a really welcoming community at Christ the King. So when I went to Mass for the first time in the English community, I felt welcome, and I felt that finally someone from a different background accepted me for who I was, and that they didn't judge me for my color, they didn't judge me for how my hair was. So I felt like I was healing from that pain that I had and that kind of like anger that I had towards other communities. I was healing it with the community at Christ the King. I will tell them, the leaders and the parishioners, to let the younger generations, to let the youth know that God loves them and that God is with them. Because there are many times that I receive messages from people saying God is with you and God loves you. But I saw that my little sister didn't receive those messages. And she always would tell me why they don't care about me, why they only care about you. So if the leaders that are listening, to let them know that to reach out to the youth, not be scared to talk to them, not be scared to reach them on their communications levels by text or by social media, and let them know how much God loves them and that they appreciate all the gifts that God gave them, that each of them is unique and that God will always be with them.